automatically the sphere is trying to smooth itself. So on top of the stack here, I'm just going to add a smooth modifier. There it is. And set it to auto and find the level at which it smooths it out. Everything but this corner here. So now we actually have an edge over the eye. So now we've got the ability to be able to scale up and down that pupil in the animation. What you might want to do as well is you might want to set it in or shape it. So this is a real simple version of this. You know, the cornea obviously has more shape to it and whatnot. You can get away with most characters with this, depending on how close you're going to get to the eyes. The next thing we need to do is we need to actually just I'm going to make a quick copy of this, clone it. This is going to be the outer portion of the eye, the lens portion, and I'm just going to remove those two modifiers off there. I'm going to bump the radius up a little bit so it's a little bit bigger than the other one. The same thing back in the material editor. I'm just going to make a material for this, and this would be your basic glass shader or the likes, and so you can set up a glass shader for this. But essentially what you'll have now is you'll have a transparent lens over top of the eye. Now of course the lens of an eye isn't completely round. It's not completely curved on the surface, and you don't want that either. You want a bit of a bump on there. That bump actually changes as the eye tries to focus. However, in this case we're not going to worry about the focusing part of it, but we don't want a perfectly round surface or else our highlights don't look completely real. We want a little bit of a bump. Easiest way to get that in this case is, again, edit poly modifier. I'm just going to select the end, turn on soft selection, turn down the amount a fair bit here, and what we want to do is we just want to be able to bump out the end of the lens to give ourselves the shape to the end of the lens so it's not a round surface. Now if we render this, we'll be getting highlights on the lens portion. We'll be able to see through to the underlying portion of the eye. So we actually get a reasonably good looking eye. Now of course textures are needed, and again if you're going to get really close you need to model it more shape and whatnot, but what we have is a good mechanical system that we can connect up now to get the eye to work. In our current system, the way we're going to do this is that we are going to animate this row of vertices in the middle to get larger, smaller. To do that, we're going to simply work with an X4 modifier, but we're going to work with it on a selection of vertices. So what we can do at this point, since this is all modeled the way we want, if we want we could collapse it or we could build up the stack more. I prefer to collapse them when I really don't need to go any further. I also prefer to have models as a base model of a mesh, not a poly. They tend to just be faster in the viewport in general still. So again, with our center row of vertices that we'd left selected last time selected, we're going to pass that up to an X4 modifier. And now what we can do is we can scale use the scale of the X-form to actually drive the pupil up and down in the animation. What we're going to do is we're going to connect this up to a set of spinners and sliders in the next part of the tutorial, so that you can just have a spinner for each eye or a slider for each eye that allows you to be able to dilate the pupils at will, and even unevenly if you wanted, from side to side. Now we're going to apply what we've learned about the eye to the eye that I've built for the actual character here. I've left most of the stack intact. This is the outer part, and here's the inner part of the eye. I've actually hooked it up with an X-form, and you can see the gizmo on it here. And if I scale the gizmo, the pupil will actually dilate and contract. And I've left the stack intact. Now we really don't need this whole stack in here, so we could use a collapse 2 on the stack and get rid of that out of there, so that we'll just have the X-form. I've put a poly select on top of the stack just because it turns off any selections and any display of vertices that you'll get